Okay, Denmark-Sweden has just finished at the Women's Euros in Switzerland. Sweden have won 1-0, the only goal coming from Angeldahl in the second half after 54 minutes, although she did have a brilliant free kick, which was well saved towards the end of the first half. That was the only shot on target in the first half. Now, early on in the first half, there's the VAR penalty check. It takes about 4 or 5 minutes for no penalty to be given. Now, before VAR, we've seen those not given as penalties or given as penalties. The ball does strike, the Swedish player's arm. The Swedish player is falling. There's a slight clip of heels in the build-up. It's coming from a Danish free kick on the left, swinging into the box. So we have seen them given as penalties in the past. But the VAR check, I mean, look, it took too long. It took far too long. It disrupted the early flow of the game, which was quite open. Both sides were playing at quite a fast pace in the first 7 minutes. Sweden, I think, when play resumed, Sweden got back into their rhythm quicker, and then they were basically besieging the Danish goal. Denmark kept themselves very well organised defensively, but Sweden got a lot more corners. They were creating opportunities, but they weren't able to get shots on target. Now, the free kick is, brilliant save, brilliant free kick as well, pure power. None of this intricate trying to bend it over the wall or chip it over. It was just drill it straight and hard at the goal. The keeper's done well in saving it because it is a very powerful shot from Angeldahl. And you could see that the Swedes were potentially getting a little bit frustrated. There were some feisty challenges from both sides as well. You can see there was a bit of feeling in this game. The recent head-to-head between the two nations is 2 draws and then most recently a heavy defeat for Denmark against Sweden. Second half, again, much the same as the first. The Swedes had a lot more of the ball. Denmark keeping that good defensive structure, but when they do get the ball back, they don't keep it for long enough to get up the other end to create opportunities. And Angeldahl gets her goal in 54 minutes. And this is finally where the Danish defence, the heat and humidity is obviously having an impact. They did have the mandatory water breaks because it was above 30 degrees Celsius. That's an evening kick-off, so that shows how warm it's been in the daytime in continental Europe. So the water breaks as well, some stoppages in play for injuries, for treatment, for players. Sweden seemed to just get back in their rhythm quicker after a lengthy stoppage for treatment for a player, whereas Denmark didn't really get their rhythm going, although as the game wore on and they got a bit more desperate, they did create some opportunities. But Sweden had a lot of opportunities in the second half, and it does surprise me the game itself has only finished 1-0, although Pernilla Harder didn't have her best game. At times she was a little bit isolated and well marshalled by the Swedish midfield and the Swedish defence. She did hit the woodwork in the second half after the Swedish goal with probably a better shot than the free kick that was saved. That was a rocket of a shot from distance. The Swedish keeper was nowhere near that, and obviously, unfortunately, has hit the woodwork. And this is not the first time in this tournament we've seen a ball crash off the bar or off a post and bounce out. But no, Sweden, I think, could and should have had more. It does surprise me they've only won 1-0. I think the pace of the game, as the game wore on, when the substitutions come on, those fresh legs, with the heat and humidity, you could definitely see both teams tiring quite a bit. There was more space in the second half. There was some sloppy errors, misplaced passes, mistimed challenges. You could definitely see that fatigue factor playing out as the game wore on. And Sweden, again, they just looked a little bit quicker in the 50-50s, quicker in possession. They just looked that half a step ahead of Denmark. They looked a little bit fitter, and they looked, overall, they looked the better side. They just might be a little bit frustrated with some of their finishing. They created a lot of chances, and let's say against Germany, for example, you want to take those chances. Against Poland, who are lesser opposition, you want to take those chances again for the goal differential. So that's, I think, an area where Sweden need to work on. Denmark had their chances as well, mostly from set plays, and Sweden looked a little bit nervy from some of these set plays. Denmark, obviously, that's a key area of their attack, is using free kicks and corners to either create chances or score. But no, Sweden, as I say, look better in possession. They look more comfortable in possession, more accurate with their passing and movement. And the goal, I mean, the Danish defence is drawn towards the player in possession. That opens the space for Angeldahl to come in off the wing. And it was actually a pretty powerful shot as well. Low and hard, across the goal, to the goalkeeper's right. It's a well-taken finish as well. Technically brilliant. But I expect Sweden to play better in the next game. There's still room for improvement. Denmark, I think, did a lot of defending, took a lot out of them. And again, they're going to have to try and figure out how to get their key players, especially Pernilla Harder, on the ball more often, and also work on building phases rather than just relying on possession, rather than just relying on the counter attack, because they do have a bit of pace in their side and some good movement. But when you're relying solely on the counter attack and set plays to create opportunities after defending for so long, there's only so long you can do that, and I think they need to adjust their tactics and potentially their formation, because they were getting outnumbered in midfield as well. They did lose the midfield battle quite early on in the first half, which meant they were on the back foot doing a lot of defending. They defended very well, but that does take it out of you when you're spending the majority of the game without the ball. But it was a good win for Sweden, still room for improvement. I think Sweden will be frustrated with some of their finishing in front of goal, because they were creating a lot of opportunities, and it's the opening game of the tournament, sure, but you would expect, with a lot of these players having played in the Swedish setup for some time, for those combinations to work a bit better, in finding players, runs off the ball, and being more accurate in when they not only create the chance but finishing the chances, forcing the keeper to make saves, getting shots on goal. But there we go, a solid win for Sweden, a solid performance. And now let's see what Germany and Poland can dish up in the second game this evening. But thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on the game in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content for you all very, very soon.